This is tape 2 of an interview with Joe Sinagra, conducted on the 20th of June 1994.
Better then than now, eh?
Well, that's right. You never broke anything, or you made your own fun.
You had nothing to play with, and then like families always used to get together, you know, for an outing, which was, you know, and you really liked that, you know. So and then you had your odd day at the show.
Oh yeah, the shows were a big thing. Yeah, the Wanneroo show.
Did that start, was that there when you were very young?
Oh well, it would have been, yes. Well, the Royal Show, you never really got to go to the Royal Show too often, but you know, if you, well, I remember, yeah, one of the workmen took me, and I thought it was great because he bought me a model aeroplane, and you know, which was great, but because you never got that sort of thing at the time, because Dad, well, whatever, you know, when he got a bit of money, he was always buying land, see, because he bought, well, I suppose by the time he finished paying off there where we were, then he bought the land down at Chewett Hill, where the garage went, and I remember that that was only £15 a quarter acre block. Yes, and but it was all bush at the time. I think between I think the last house, there was a brick house, a few hundred yards towards Perth, but otherwise there was nothing. Oh, then you came to the corner of Main Street and Wanneroo Road, where there was an old hotel, but
And the sawmill.
yeah, there was a sawmill alongside, but that's, yeah, they had an old hotel there. Oh, actually Ben Pullier was still living in that. Yeah.
Where did Ben Pullier live?
Well, the Pulliers live out here, but they're, well, actually his younger brother was the only one. There were three brothers, the Pulliers. Well, the eldest one was Ben, which used to do wood carting. He was always with wood. The second one wasn't too good in health, so he went back to Italy, and the younger one stayed here, and then, he's brought up a family, and yeah, they still live in Wanneroo, but that was in the later years. Actually, the younger one there had a like a great big steam engine on wheels, which used to, well, did a lot of clearing here in Wanneroo. The big trees and that he used to knock down just by putting a rope around the trees and knocking them down.
That was earlier years.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that would have been, I suppose, in the 50s, I should imagine. Yeah. And he used to bring, the cable was that big, he had to have a horse to be able to drag the cable around for the trees. Yeah, yeah. The poor old horse used to do the heavy work.
But those to be big heavy horses, weren't they?
Yeah,
The draft
yeah.
horses. Yeah, I remember, like, even down here, they still used to plough with the horse, eh?
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah, I remember the horse there.
yeah. Well, there used to be wild horses too.
Were they?
Yeah, in the early days, yeah. And they were a menace because actually a lot of people used to hit them with their vehicles on the roads. Night time it was dangerous really to drive on the road because you had wild horses.
Yeah.
Yeah. But eventually they, you know, people came in and killed them for their meat. and I think it was mainly for dog food and things like that. But they disappeared, and
Did you ever try to catch the wild horses?
not really, no. No, they were, well, the stallions used to be the worst because they'd chase you. Yeah. So you sort of kept away from them.
You didn't eat horse meat?
No. But we, yeah, there was people here in Wanneroo used to eat. Actually, they used to make sausage, but they used to mix horse meat, pork, all together and make sausage.
Did you make sausage?
Oh, out of pork, yeah,
Yeah.
we used to make pork sausage, yeah. We used to make our own wine. We used to make our own olive oil. Yeah, it was funny when we used to clean our barrels when it was time to make the wine. Any of the dregs and what have you, we used to give to the pigs, and it used to make them drunk. And of course, being kids, we used to have to. We had an electric fencer to stop them from digging their way out of the thing. So if they were close to this electric wire, we just used to get another bit of wire and used to put it onto the pig and onto the thing, and every time it you know, the thing was there, the poor old pig would grunt, but he couldn't move away because he was too drunk to get on his feet.
Did you drink wine at home with meals?
Yeah.
Well, we used to, yeah. Well, from kids we used to. Oh yeah, well that was another thing. I got drunk, we would have been, I suppose, maybe 14, 15, I suppose. I don't know whether we were still going to school, but Jim, my next eldest brother, and myself, we decided to see who could drink a glass of wine the quickest. But of course, the glass was nearly as big as a litre carton of milk. So we drank this thing here, and of course, I remember I just sort of got on the bed and I went, you know, stretched my arms and legs out, and the whole thing was just turning round and round. I got that sick, and that I never drank wine anymore until I did my first bus trip to Darwin, and the chap I had on there that came up with me to help with the passengers said, you know, will you have a glass of wine, or, you know, do you want some wine? I said, well, and he said, you know, which do you prefer, either white or red? I said, well, I don't know whether I can. I said, but if I do, it'll be red wine, see? So he went and got a bottle of red wine, but I only just tasted it, and that was the first time I'd ever tasted wine since I got drunk.
What about beer, Joe?
I don't drink beer. I might just have a sip, but I just can't drink it.
Was there ever beer within your family when you were young?
Well, not really, because beer wasn't really. The men folk used to, if they went to Perth, and they would go to the pub and probably have one or two drinks. But other than that, no, beer wasn't. Nobody really had beer at home like you do today. Yeah.
So we still drink wine. I still have my wine all the time with my meals.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people drink wine.
Yeah.
Actually, I think there's more people drink wine now than they used to.
Yeah.
Because, see, a lot of times in them days, even if it was half vinegar,
That's still
they still drink it.
Yeah.
Because what used to happen, if it used to go off, like say, it used to turn to vinegar anyway eventually, because there was no, they put nothing into it to preserve it. see, they were drinking it, and it used to slowly turn to vinegar. See, they used to get used to that, and they used to drink it. But
now there's that much around. See,
Oh,
that's why
yeah.
all different sorts. That's why people drink a lot.
Oh,
It's all
yeah,
sweet
yeah.
wines now.
yeah,
So as children, when would you be first given wine?
whenever you
From
wanted
small.
Right from being
it.
tiny?
From babies, yeah.
Well, we give to the grandkids now from real small. We let
Yeah.
them taste a bit of wine, and we let them have a little bit like this when we eat.
Yeah.
That's all. Only when they eat. And they all look for their wine when they come up home.
Yeah.
The little kids.
I think it's better that way because
You don't
you're used to it,
yeah,
and you're not going to.
get drunk on it.
Yeah,
You did, Joe.
yeah. Well, I did because.
It was probably because you were betting to see who could drink the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah, well, that was,
That's
yeah.
it. So it made you sick, and then you.
Oh, I mean the odd one too. It's been you know they like the taste and they drink it. But well, actually, none of the family really were big drinkers.
No.
Not really.
None to get drunk or anything like that.
No, the ones that used to drink the most probably were Sam and Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even-
that's like their beer.
yeah.
But like none of the others, I don't think.
Not.
See, I don't like
And
beer.
none really, well, none of us smoked. I used to, while I was wheat carting, I tried to smoke, but I just couldn't take to it. It was only just to sort of keep awake because we used to travel, well, if we could have kept going, we'd be travelling 24 hours a day. So your normal night's sleep would be from 2 to 4 hours in the 24 because we were on the road all the time.
You know, the other thing I wanted to ask you, did you have was there ever any Aboriginal families in Wanneroo that you can remember?
The only, not families. Oh, well, yeah, there was only one or two, but the chap used to work for the sawmill for Villanovas. They had an Aboriginal there. I'm pretty sure it was them.
I don't remember.
That was in the early stages up. No, there weren't, actually there weren't any up here then. The only ones we used to have a couple of hobos that used to travel up and down, and they were real winos. Yes.
What they used to just...
Yeah, just up and down. Oh, I suppose they used to walk into Perth and then out here, and people used to give them a drink or a meal, something like that. I mean, you always anybody that came in. I mean, your first thing if they had eaten, or I mean, you never locked your house in them days. Your front door, back door, they were all open. I mean, anybody could have walked in and out, but nobody ever did.
Do you ever get travelling salesmen? Anyone coming round selling things in the early years?
Oh, not really. Well, as I said before, we were right out there and nobody used to come out. The first people that was sort of like that was the butcher. Used to come around on a motorbike and he used to bring you meat or fish, and I don't know whether he used to come up Pinjar, but out here in Wanneroo, and you ordered your meat. Yeah, you ordered your meat. Yeah, it must have been here though. I don't think they came up in Pinjar. And they used to come along in a motorbike and deliver your meat. Yeah.
And where were they bringing the meat from?
From North Perth. Yeah.
I wonder how they kept it cool in the hot weather.
Well, I suppose it'd only take them an hour, and I mean.
Once you bought it, you had to cook it and
Well,
eat it.
that's right, because
you couldn't leave it.
Although we had Yeah, up Pinjar we had a fridge.
No.
Wasn't it Pinjar we got the first...
Fridge.
Oh,
No, ice. I even remember here when they used to bring a block of ice, you know, big block of ice.
yeah, I know they used to, but...
That was our first fridge, the ice. And then the first kerosene fridge was here. I remember that. When we were living here, not up Pinjar, we had no fridge.
Gee, I thought it...
No.
How would you keep your food cold, Rosie?
Well, I don't know. Every now and then they'd buy a big block of ice and have it in a drum, you know, in a bag. And that's how you kept your bottles.
Yeah, well, we used to put them in water, like we used to hang them down into the well.
Yeah.
If you want to... I mean, it wouldn't get icy cold, not like
Not
what
now.
we'd call icy cold, but it was cool.
Then you had your water bag for your water
Yeah.
and hang it outside.
Well,
Your milk you were milking every morning, so you didn't have to keep it in the fridge,
yeah.
you know. Your butter, or well, I suppose it was melted, just to eat it like
Yeah.
that, you know. But,
Oh, yeah, but you wrap that up anyway.
yeah, you wrap
Um,
everything up and... But,
Well, as I said too, I mean, we had 32 volt power in the early days up when we were up in Pinjar. We used to run the generator off one of the pumps that used to pump water for the garden, and we had batteries, and we had electric power. As a matter of fact, while we were up there, I suppose I would have been 17, 18. I developed my first photos up there.
Did you?
Yeah. I made myself a little wooden box, and I had a globe in there. I used to have some paper, red paper, to put over the globe so as I could, you know, see what I was doing, you know, in the dark room. Well, we never had a dark room, but in the room to sort of where I was doing it. And I'd have me little couple of bowls that I had the stuff in to develop the photos. And I mean, the photos are still
good.
they're still good.
Still got those photographs?
Yeah,
Lovely.
and that's a long time ago.
Mm.
It didn't need any fancy enlarger or things like that.
I wonder, can you remember if there were any, how can I put this? Anything that happened that was important within the community, or anything particularly memorable within the community that affected everyone?
Well, not really. No. Well, that's right. Nothing really exciting happened them days. Yeah.
I
think
suppose
it
the church was a big event.
Yeah,
wasn't
the
it?
church, and then like I think you only like your show day where you had your races and your tug
Yeah.
of wars and things like that.
Yeah.
It's the only thing, you know, where everybody was involved. But apart from that, I don't think.
Yeah, because even in my time at school, I mean, we never went anywhere like they do these days on excursions, or you go from school to school to, you know, for sports and things like that. Well, there was nothing like that. Oh, I suppose, yeah, the odd time one of the parents that had a truck would probably take kids out to the beach. I think I only remember once or twice, old Jack Hancock there, he took us
yeah,
out to the beach just for the day, and I'm pretty sure it was the school outing.
Did you say sports days?
Well, we never played inter sports, but
With the state schools, we always went against the state schools.
yeah, it wouldn't have been my...
Not your time.
Not in my time, there wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, they used to go down to the showgrounds here.
Mm.
You've seen a lot of changes, Joe.
Yes, a lot. Well, even when we came down here, we had no power for 3 months. We had to wait and argue with the... because they put the high tension leads and they had a thing down on the bottom there because there was a couple of houses down there. And anyhow, we built here. And first they wanted me to... they would come back to the bottom of the block, which was a long way down. I mean, they had the poles here, and I said, well, why don't you run the wires back up here? I said, I'll pay for them. Because at that time, when they put a spur on like this, they had to have 2 or 3 people, and they used to charge them so much, and then over a certain amount of time, they'd give them their money back. And I think it was about £30 then, or £30 per pole. Yeah, it was £30 per pole. Anyway, I had to get someone pretty high up in government to overturn their decision, you know, not to... And I said to them, I said, well, you know, you're going to get your wires here. I said, and I don't want any money back. I said, you can keep... No, we still can't do it because if we do it for you, we've got to do it for someone else. But I said, you know, it's not costing you anything, see? And they still wouldn't until, you know, a chap, we got hold of a chap and...
It's incredible you've got to fight to get
well, that's right.
electric power.
Yeah, because if I had to put it here, I mean, it would have only been temporary anyway, you see. So I thought, well, if I can get it done properly in the first place, why not?
What year was that, Joe?
I think we were here in 1966, I think, or 65.
It's still the same now for the power. If they've got to bring it anywhere, they won't bring it just for one person or anything.
No, I know, but I mean, if they're going to get a piece done here for nothing, and I said, eventually you're going to get houses across the road and you've got your wires there.
Yeah.
And
one of the other big changes must be the medical services as well. I mean, what did you do in the early days?
well, in the early days, you went to North Perth.
Fitzgerald Street.
Fitzgerald Street in North
Yeah, the
Perth.
doctor's there.
That's where the doctor was.
Yeah, that was the closest doctor in. Yeah, it was Fitzgerald Street. So, oh well, all Wanneroo used to go into there. It was Dr. Cowden and Hameson were the people, and well, all Wanneroo seemed to, used to land up there. So,
do you remember any emergencies where you had to get a doctor quickly? Because that was a long way to go, wasn't it?
well, not.
You never
No.
went to a doctor. You
No.
never sick or anything to go to a doctor.
Yeah.
I don't remember any.
Well, I got a piece of wood stuck in my leg. It went in one way and came out through the other. And I mean, Mum only just pulled it out and put Condy's crystal on it. And I've still got the marks there on my leg.
This
Well-
is home remedies.
Yeah, I don't remember ever going up to the doctor or anything.
Well, they would have had to go for Johnny because he lost an eye.
Did you?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So, and I think they took Mary in for something as well. Yeah, Mary had to go in for something, but I don't really remember what it was all about. That was the eldest girl.
And I suppose did you have doctor's bills in those days?
I don't know how they paid. They probably would have had to pay, I'd
Oh,
say.
yeah. Oh, yeah, no, you had to pay for your own doctor.
Yeah.
What about when you had your babies?
Yeah, well, that was the same. There was no Medicare or anything like that. No way. No, and there was no dole either. Not that I remember.
Was it? I wonder what happened if did any of the men die and leave widows in Wanneroo? What happened? in those circumstances?
Well, the only one, well, the first one I remember is, well, there would have been like Mrs. Arrigo.
She
yes.
died young, yeah.
Yeah, well, she left, a few children.
Well, she left the twins were only babies. Nancy and Frank,
Yeah,
weren't they only small?
yeah, yeah.
Because I think Mrs. Villanova
Villanova.
was giving milk to one,
Yeah,
and I think the older sister was giving milk
to
to the other one.
Breastfeeding then?
yeah. Yeah, she would have been probably one of the first, and then Mr. Villanova died of cancer.
Mr.
but
Coltrane died before him, didn't he? Or after? Mr. Coltrane died young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose when you look back,
Yeah.
there was a few.
I remember those.
I mean, there was a chap, but that wouldn't have been in the real early days, blew himself up in Chris Woolley's place up here, you know, the old place. I forget who it was.
I don't remember him.
Yeah, he blew himself up in the house.
Yeah.
How did he do that?
Oh, I don't know, I suppose. I don't really know what it was all about, whether it was, you know, family troubles or what, I don't really know. But, yeah, I suppose when you know, look back, there's... And that other chap I was saying, that the dogs ate, or half eaten, a Pinjar. Well, that was in the early...
That would have been real
Yeah,
early.
that was real early there.
Been before my time.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else you'd like to add to this, Joe, or are we?
Not really.
What about you, Rosie, as Joe's sister? Do you...
I don't remember much.
You're actually still living on part of the Sinagra property in Pinjar.
Yeah, yeah.
And what are you doing? What work are you doing on the property?
Well, we got a bit of vineyard and olive trees.
Yeah, well, actually, you've got the original homestead anyway, like
Yeah,
the
we've-
property.
We've got the
Yeah.
old one, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we bought that, you know, and we're still got a few cattle up there. We can't do much up there, so the boys will probably take over now. Let them do, you know, something with it. And just do what we can at home, and sort of keep working to keep going. That's the only thing. But you have your ups and your downs, and you know you keep going.
Yeah, well, Dennis's used to own it. Well, they used to have the garage there. First off, they used to have the sawmill at Pinjar, Dennis's. Then they built the garage here. They had the hall. And,
Then he bought his sawmill down to Cape Horn Road, didn't he?
yeah, then it came,
Yeah,
well, they had it there
Yeah.
at some time. Whether it was there first, I don't know. No, it would have been there first.
Oh,
And then they went to
Pinjar.
Pinjar, yeah, the sawmill. But you had your dances, you had your picture shows, and then of course Chris Woolley took it over, and they just continued on to what it was.
see, any wedding was done in the Dennis Hall, eh?
Yeah, you had your
Dennis Hall.
weddings there.
Mm.
Then they put an open air theatre alongside it,
Oh, did they?
yeah. Oh, you just had canvas seats and, yeah, in the summertime, yeah, they used to have it outside. They had a little shop there. You could buy drinks there for a penny a drink, a glass. They had a little room there where the kids could sleep off while the parents are either dancing or watching the picture show. Yeah, what else? They invented a power saw, Dennis did.
Did it?
Yeah, like, well actually a couple of versions of them. They could turn the blade, well, right around to any angle they wanted to cut a tree down. That was with a circular saw. Then they invented another one with a crosscut saw, and they must have made a lot of money out of those because there was quite a few around.
Was there any other buildings in Wanneroo at that time when you were young? The Dennis Hall was there. Was there anything else?
Well, the only ones for a start was that and the post office.
Where was the post office?
It was on the corner of Dunderbar Road and Wanneroo Road.
Right.
Where the forestry is, you know.
Yeah, on the north, yeah, where the forestry is. Well, that right on the corner was the post office. And then, Togners came in. Oh, well, I don't know whether I was going to school.
No, Togners built their shop. No.
And then, yeah, Togners built a shop there on the other side of the road. Actually, it started off as a tea shop, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that they didn't keep that open for long. Yeah, because then they built the shopping centre there, so that went.
What, the post office stayed there until...
Yeah, the post office was there for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my kids were going to school.
And the post office was still there.
It was still there, yeah.
What did they actually sell? Did they sell goods as well as...
The only thing I remember, she used to sell lollies and drinks.
Cordial drinks.
No, well, remember that it wasn't Coke, it was something like Coke that they used to sell. Vim.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Vim.
Yeah, they used to call it Vim. Do you remember that?
Yeah. But that was better than Coke when you think of it.
It was. That's right.
That was the only thing, and then glasses of cordial, like penny a glass, you know. Then they start making ice blocks.
Yeah, but there was two sisters used to run it. No, that was quite a good little shop.
That was the focal point for you kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your mail? How did you get your mail in, Pincher?
Well, you had to get it.
Had to go to the post office, I think, to pick it up.
Yeah.
And then if a telegram come or anything, I remember one of the sisters would walk up. Oh, you know, this is when we're living here, but I don't know from up there. I suppose they'd have to come down to pick up their mail.
Well, then after in the later years, the school bus used to take the mail and deliver it. As the kids got off, well, they used to deliver it that way.
So a lot of the kids, I think, as you got out of school, if you had time, you'd run up to the post office and ask if there was any mail for you and pick it up.
But I know on the Yanchep Road, the bloke, the Snarkers used to
drop it off.
Yeah. So whether he used to give it to the kids or what, as they got off the bus, I don't know. But I know he had the contract for the mail for quite a while.
Who's that, Mr. Pascal?
Snarkers, yeah, the school bus contractor. But they wouldn't have now because there'd be too much anyway.
Okay, Joe, well, I've really enjoyed this morning. You'll think of all the things I've not asked you and I've gone.
Oh, well, such as it is. So, well, I hope it, works out.
I'm sure it will.